You're listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more.
Well, what up, people? What's going on, bro? Strap yourselves in because today's episode is about to hit like a nuclear combo of creativity and hustle, baby. That's right. We have a returning guest, a man who has been out here building universes, redefining storytelling, and straight up inspiring the industry. I mean, he's been holding it down with DC's Milestone universe, the Shadow Cabinet. He's dropping that fire with Bloodletter from Image Comics. He is repping legacy with the 25th anniversary of Batman the Hill. And now he's also building his own empire with Illuminous. That's right, baby. We're going about to deep dive into the mind of a true comic crusader. And we introduce my man over here, all right? So I need you guys to buckle up real quick, hit that like button, and let's ride the wave of greatness with the big boss himself, the legend, Joseph B. Illidge. Welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
All right. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Happy to have you. Welcome back, brother. And thank you for making time. Cause, geez, bro, you are like busy. Every week I'm getting Joey's doing this, Joey's doing that. I'm like, yo, how does Joe have any time? Yo, Joe. You know what I mean, that's the whole new G.I. Joe right there, baby. You know what I mean?
100%. Well, listen, number one, thanks for the kind introduction. And number two, you know what? When you're doing what you love, it's easy. You know what I mean? I mean, work is work, but when you're doing what you love, getting up in the morning is fun, and going to bed at night, that's the chore. It's like I don't want to stop, but I need some sleep. I'll see you tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're talking about chores, kiddo. We're talking about chores and balancing acts then. Because again, how do you manage so many projects at once, brother?
Listen, it's a great question, and it really comes down to structure, right? Like it's funny. I was coming back from a vacation the other day, and most people are watching the movies on the back of the chair, the person in front of them. Me, I pulled up my composition notebook and my pen, and I wrote down all the different projects I have for the rest of 2025 going into 2026, and I'm like, which one to do first, which one to do second, which one to do seventh, which one to do eighth, right? Because it's business, right?
Yeah.
So you got to have your list of priorities, and then you have to do the work, right? There's really no shortcut to doing the work. And I mean, people want to take shortcuts with like Chat GPT and whatnot, but I'm a 20th century boy, so I'm going to work it all out. I'm going to do the conventional research, and I'm not going to surrender my creativity that way. It's like, I love writing, I love story, so that's it. So it's structure and it's doing the work.
We are definitely men of a certain age, from a certain era as well. So
100%, dude. I was born in the late 60s. I was a kid of the 70s. I was a teenager of the 80s, and all that came with that. Yeah.
So my man is an OG because I was born in the mid 70s. So he has several years on me. So he was already OG, in the streets, handling his business, baby. So let me ask, though, as a follow-up to my previous question, right?
Yeah.
Do you thrive under pressure, or does each project fuel you differently?
That's it. It's interesting. So for sure, right? You're starting every project, and it's like, okay, how am I going to pull this off? And for me, what I always start with is character and theme, right? Like, who's the core character of this story with a journey? What is the theme of this story, right? Once I know those two things, I can get started. Without the theme, you're lost. then you're just writing scattershot because you don't even know what you're writing about, right? So again, once I have the core character journey and a theme, I'm like, okay, I can build from there because all the other characters are either going to support or oppose the theme, and the world is either going to be the ally or the enemy of the character with the journey, right? And usually it's more dramatic if the world is the enemy, right? So it always goes back to like the core ingredients and tenets. And then I get started. And part of what happens is, listen, when you're writing, man plans and God laughs. So like with Shadow Cabinet, before I got the gig, I had we had a 1 hour Zoom call. It was me, Reggie Hudlin, and Dennis Cowan, who are of course the producers of
Oh,
Milestone
geez.
Media, right? Reggie's assistants, because he's Reggie Hudlin, he has assistants. And then Chris Conroy and Marquise Draper from DC Comics. And we had this 1 hour Zoom call, and it was about, okay, what is the purpose of this story? And just started like brainstorming, just like throwing things against the wall. But the purpose of the story was basically to be the culmination of the 4 years of the Milestone relaunch that started in 2020 with Milestone Return Zero in digital format.
And I have every issue, all right?
Listen, you're real deal, my man, real deal. That's it. So I walked away from that, and 2 weeks later, I came back with a 21-page pitch, which was the whole story from the first scene to the last, so I could see it from the 10,000-foot view. And I got very few notes, and they got
you were your own drone when you were writing that baby, huh?
listen, the old, notebook, scratch out notes, all that stuff. But as I'm writing it, things changed because you develop these characters, and the characters start telling you, no, I wouldn't do that. I would actually go that way. Or you come across this moment and you're like, no, what would really turn this moment on its ass if you did this, right? So even in the process of writing, due to the nature of chaos, things are changing along the way. And you have to embrace that. So that's really the beginning of the building process.
All right, so let's get into that because you already started. That's perfect. You segued me perfectly because that is the first one I wanted to talk about was Shadow Cabinet returning to the game Milestone, baby. Yeah,
Yes.
an OG diverse universe before all this other stuff that was going on, and it's like DC always had this in the palm of their hand, and during this tumultuous time, like have hardly ever really used it until almost recently. So then the 5 years is still almost recently because time.
Yeah, 100%.
So what excites you most though about reintroducing this team?
So people who know me know Milestone is where I got my start in comics, right? In 1993.
Oh
right,
my God. That was I just graduated high school, bro.
Dude, listen. So you're talking about that's 32 years, right? And that's when I started, and Milestone was this thing that I didn't think existed. I walked through the doors. It's this comic book company owned by 4 black men. It's got this diverse staff, and everyone's just excited to be there. And Milestone is new, so they're building it. And they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know how long they're going to be around. But, if you've been in that kind of environment where you are at the front lines, the beginning of something, and you are grinding week by week, it's exciting, right? So being at Milestone was such an exciting way to start in comics. And, when you're talking about the founders, Dwayne McDuffie, Dennis Cowan, Derek T. Dingle, Michael Davis, and history would then later show us Christopher Priest, right? Who would end up being a founder, but he left before Milestone started publishing. And so I learned so many things from them, but Dwayne was one of the ones that was the most impactful on me because he was God rest his soul, because he was the editor-in-chief. He was the one that showed me what an editor was, and I didn't know. And he set me on the path to be an editor. Like, he took me under his wing, and that was the beginning. And so coming back to Milestone and working on the characters, it's for the fans, and I mean fans across the board, the Milestone fans of superhero stories, fans of good character journeys. it's for the company and what it represents. But on a very personal level, it was for Dwayne, right? It was me writing this for the old man to say, hey, man, like everything that you gave to me, I am giving back to this thing which you helped manifest. I'm going to take those principles and I'm going to put them back in to the machine, to this amazing organism that you helped bring to life. And being able to use Rocket as the core character of my story, when Rocket was the main character of the Icon series and really spoke to who Dwayne was, because Dwayne was a writer and Rocket was an aspiring writer. So that kind of full circle was very important to me as a human. And I feel blessed that I got the opportunity to do that. Not many people get the opportunity to go back home and kind of build within that mythology. You know what I mean? Sometimes we only get one shot. I got two shots.
Ooh, I dig it. So talk about any pressure in reimagining, something that's so loved, and
Yeah, good question. I'm going to say no. And the reason why is because I was brought up in that universe. Like, keeping it for you real, I know that universe. I know it intimately, like, quite, right? Like, I was there when these characters were being born.
You were in the hospital room. It was coming out,
right.
baby. I hear you.
Yeah, insofar as like the publishing, right? When the publishing started, that's when I started as an intern.
When it got the stamp, I hear you.
Yeah. So before Static Shock was a cartoon, right? I was there when the Static comic books were being made. And so I know that universe inside and out. Those characters, that's a beloved universe for me, number one. Number two,
for many of us.
Yeah. I think I was just able to come to it with a balanced perspective of, I know what a good story is, I know what characters are, and I know what this universe needs to culminate this big story. Like, basically, I equate this to what Avengers Endgame was for like the 10 or 11 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that preceded it. You know what I mean? So, listen. So I knew what it was, and there was a story that had to be told. So we talked about themes, right? The core theme of the Shadow Cabinet was the inheritance of power. When you get it, what do you do with it, right? And then the secondary theme was passing the torch, right? And so one of the best ways to communicate ideas is with a character that personifies an idea, right? So we had Rocket, who's this young 17-year-old girl who's like the only superhero out there in the skies day and night. And then I was like, okay, let's create this older woman named Angela Alva, who is like this 64-year-old biracial Black woman who's been living her whole life thinking that she was one person, and then she finds out about who she really is and this whole legacy that was taken from her, and now she's on a journey, right? And that's something that in writing is called the unity of opposites, right? Where you have two characters from different walks of life, but somehow you connect them. Now, writers tend to connect them more directly, like what the X-Files was, like Mulder and Scully. But in my mind, thematically, this was a thematic unity of opposites between a young Black girl and an older biracial woman, and both of their journeys with the inheritance of power.
Gotcha. All right. So now I want to go back to what you were talking about when it came to the EIC with the great Dwayne McDuffie, because it's also an anniversary for you of a very prominent Batman story called The Hill. It is 25 years later.
Yes.
What does this milestone mean to you?
So it's interesting. Milestone connects directly to Batman the Hill in at least two ways. Number one, Batman the Hill, which was a one shot that came out in the year 2000, and it was about Batman entering a neighborhood in Gotham that he never went to called the Hill, which is predominantly populated by black people. And when
Basically, he went down to the hood. He came out of Gotham to a deeper hood.
He went to the hood of Gotham, and no one there respected him because the dude was never there. So the legend of the Batman had no meaning to them. He was a silly guy in a cape. So he had to confront that, right? That failing of himself, that he was not there for these people, and he had to learn the rules of the Hill. And at the core of that was a story about a young man named Hollywood who wanted to be a screenwriter, but was caught up in this life of crime, working for this crime lord called Demetrius Corleone. And without spoiling the story, this was not a white savior story. This is about a story about a young man caught between two worlds, but Batman's involvement gives him the opportunity to take control of his life, right? Now, this story was written by Christopher Priest, who was one of the original founders of Milestone. So that's one connection. The second connection is that, at the core of Milestone was a real world examination of superheroes and life in America. And that's what the Hill was. The Hill was not about Batman fighting a Joker or the Penguin or Two-Face or Poison Ivy or any of those people. It was about Batman dealing with real people, being out of his depth, and having to learn to understand them so that he could be of service, right? And so the Hill had very particular importance to me. And as the editor who inherited it, I was compelled to make sure that it came out because it was in danger of not coming out because
really
there was this big 1 year event called Batman No Man's Land, right?
Oh, it was during No Man's Land. Oh, crazy.
Right.
Oof.
What happened was No Man's Land was in 1999 and it changed the status quo of Gotham City. So there were a bunch of Batman books in inventory which weren't going to get published. And The Hill was one of them. And I was like, nah, not on my watch. That book is too important.
This to happen, yeah.
Yeah, that book is too important to not come out, right? Because I knew in my gut this book would be important for the mythology of Batman and for the publishing legacy of Batman. And so I pulled it out of the drawer and I got that book finished. And I got it on schedule and I made sure it came out. And listen, I did it renegade style. I didn't ask for permission. I just put in the system and put it through.
I love it.
And then the machine worked. The machine worked, and the book came out. And now, 25 years later, we're seeing that The Hill is a very beloved book. It's just benchmark in Batman publishing. There have been sequel stories. Brandon Thomas and Kari Randolph did a sequel story in Batman Black and White. Sean Martinborough wrote a miniseries called Red Hood the Hill, which was a direct sequel. He drew the original Batman the Hill, so he wrote Red Hood the Hill. And various writers, Scott Snyder, have done an examination of Batman and Black America. And The Hill is the ancestor of all of that. So I was right. I was right 25 years ago. You don't know. Listen, you're taking a chance, but I'm glad that I made a good judgment call.
See, that's what I want. I was about to ask you that because what would the 1999 Joseph say seeing this book out today, especially with the climate of America?
Well, listen, I mean, in a number of ways, things are really going sideways. That's a future I was hoping we wouldn't walk into, but we're here and we're going to deal with it. But, if me now could talk to the 1995 version, I think we would both just give each other pounds, and that would be. I wouldn't tell him what's going to happen because I don't want to ruin the timeline, and he would probably look at old Joe Illidge and be like, "Who the hell is that?" Whatever, But I think we just give each other pounds and that'd be it.
I love it. Now you do other things. Now you're also delving into also one of my other favorite universes, within the Spawn universe with Bloodletter, man. Oh, bro. Again,
Listen,
boss over here, bro. Where did this idea even come from? But talk to me, man.
so it's wild. Um, so for a time, I was the editor in chief of Heavy Metal Magazine, and in that capacity, I was in the department with Tim Seeley. He was kind of like the one that brought me in, and then I ended up taking over that role from him. And in that time working Heavy Metal together, we became really good friends. And we were like, hey, we should work together. We should collaborate and do some really amazing stories. And so I connected with Thomas Healy, who's the editor in chief of Todd McFarlane Productions. And I said, hey, you know, Tim and I are working on some stuff together. We'd like to know, hey, could we pitch stuff for Spawn Universe? What do you need? What does the Spawn Universe not have yet that would be useful to it, right? Because that's what you want to do. You want to be able to fill a need.
Yeah, you want to add
right?
value to the universe.
Exactly. You want to be additive. You don't want to be redundant, right? And so, Tim and I said, okay, we got to go back into the history. So if we could create a history that goes back even pre-Spawn to when Al Simmons was the John Wick of the CIA, right? Dirty tricks all in one dude. Then we'd have a story. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about that. What's the story? So we came up with the idea of this character, Tasha Thornwall. She was part of the CIA unit. They were doing a mission. The CIA changed its mind on a dime, and they were like, that guy that we want to protect? Well, the mission's over. Go home, and we're going to let him get killed, right? And they were like, nah, we're not doing that. And Tasha fell in love with the dude, and they were going to go renegade. They were going to take this guy and get the hell out of there. And Al Simmons walked in there, and he just started bucking everybody.
Al gotta do what Al gotta do.
Listen,
not me.
I told you he's the boogeyman. He was the boogeyman of the like the secret ops world.
Yes, he was.
That's
what I'm saying. That's why I love the Spawn mythos so much, because people don't understand. Like, listen, they show you this whole love story, but when you dig into Al's history, he's not a nice guy. He never was.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. Al was not a heroic man by any stretch of the imagination, right? And so Tasha Thornwall gets away, but Al outs her. Al reveals to everyone where she was, because this whole mission happened in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, 10 years ago. So he reveals, this woman who was among y'all for a year, where she's CIA and this and that. So Tasha had to go underground. She had to pretend she was dead. And, listen, 10 years in the Spawn universe, you're going to come across a bunch of demons and angels and Malabolgi and stuff like that. So if you don't learn magic, you're dead.
And so in 10 years, the Earth has gone through hell already. So.
Bingo. Literally in the Spawn universe, has gone through hell. And so, it's 10 years later, she's a mystic. She's known in secret circles as the Bloodletter. And then she sees Spawn take off his mask on TV, reveal he's Al Simmons, talks about he's here to save humanity. And she's like, wait, what the what?
Al who?
And it's like, exactly, like, wait, like that guy? And she's like, okay, we're done here, right? Because she was traumatized. Yeah. So when she saw him, that was a trigger. Yeah. That was a trigger that went to the pit of her soul. And in that moment, no other reality exists except that her victimizer lives and has the unmitigated gall to present himself to the world as the savior of humanity, when he's the one that destroyed her life and threw it for a tailspin, and she's been living in the shadows. So she's like, you know what? My whole itinerary, that's off now. There's only one mission. The mission is to kill Spawn.
Oh my God.
And that's it. He's got to go. He's Spawn. She doesn't care, because anything can be killed.
I love
you understand?
You know what this feels
Anything can be killed.
This feels to me like finally an adequate replacement to what Angela was supposed to be in that universe.
Yes.
Finally, Spawn is gonna get someone that is another a real Spawn killer.
Yes.
Let's go. It is
Yes.
about effing time. Now, with that,
Yes.
the stories that you're digging into within the Bloodletter universe, do they differ from personal experience or today's frustrations?
You know, I think we really had to start with Tasha, right? What's her particular arc? What's her journey, right? So Bloodletter is a revenge story, right? But the theme of Bloodletter is how far will you go to fill the hole of trauma, right? Like, what are you willing to do? So throughout this story, you may think Tasha's a hero, and then 5 pages later, not anymore. And then next issue, not anymore. Like your opinion of her is going to change because her objective has no room for ethics and has no room for wasting time, right? So we drew from that, but trauma, victims and victimizers, is unfortunately just part of humanity's journey.
Yeah,
It
the
happens on a
story.
regular
Yeah,
basis.
and it's
So
the
it's
story of
it,
life, bro. It
exact.
is.
It's potent. In terms of drawing from real life, I think what it would be is that so Tasha used to be a patriot. She worked for the CIA. Tasha 9/11 really changed her, right? It happened because Tasha's part Haitian, part South American. I live in a Haitian neighborhood in Brooklyn. So in my mind, Tasha grew up here. Tasha grew up in my neighborhood, yeah. And so when 9/11 happened, she was like, yo, like, I have to be of service, right? So she joined the military and she believed in something that was greater than her. When the CIA betrayed her in the form of Al Simmons, then she had to learn she can't believe in anything. And the only thing she can really rely on is herself, right? Now, let's take the world in which we're living in. We have the 20th century promise of the 9 to 5 job that you could retire in. You get your house, the white picket fence, the spouse, the kids, the car, the whole thing. That whole 20th century deal, that's dead. People are getting laid off and fired in the hundreds of thousands. This present administration has laid off thousands and thousands of federal government workers, okay? Institutions that were set up to protect us, to represent dignity, those institutions are being replaced with other institutions in the name of efficiency. We are losing educational mechanisms. So the individual and their reliance on big companies and big ideas, we are in a major era of disillusionment. And I think as human beings, we need to go back to the core and say, okay, before I can believe in an institution, I need to believe in me.
Yes.
Not necessarily that I am better, but that I have to know who I am before I can decide where I'm going. And maybe the destination needs to be the destination that I create. Maybe my time as a cog is over, and maybe my time to build something has begun. Now, that can be very frightening for people who have spent most of their lives being 9 to 5ers. But
Being
again,
cogs.
being cogs. But the structure of life as we understand it in a business and existential context is crumbling all around us. And so we must go back to the core. And so, in that way, the story of Bloodletter speaks to the story of us today.
And speaking about the story of us in building, man, talk about building. Oh, look, you segue me, baby. You segue me like no other guests I've had. Because talk about building, bro. Illuminous origins.
Yes.
I need to know this, bro. Because again, you're
Yes.
also this for me. This is kind of the most important part of this interview for me, because you've had this journey, and like you said, talking about cogs and talking about building, you
Yes.
are taking that step forward through Illuminous. So
Yes.
talk to me. What drove you, to create the studio at this time and now?
Yeah. So a number of things. One is that when you think about being of service, right? And that's the thing, right? We're part of humanity. Each of us are supposed to be of service to better humanity, right? It's like, okay, what is my purpose and promise to the world, right? Well, my purpose is to elevate people, elevate story, and empower creators, empower them towards their futures. One of the best forms of empowerment is intellectual property, right? Having your own intellectual property. Think about intellectual property the way you would think of real estate property,
Yes.
right? You have a home, you build it, you nurture it, it appreciates in value. Then you could pass that along to your kids or
Yes.
whomever you consider a proper recipient. That's how you get multi generational wealth.
Yes.
That's the
Preach,
deal.
baby.
That's the deal that Ryan Coogler made with Warner Brothers and Sinners
Yes, that
for
people don't
25 years.
understand how important that is. Like,
Yes,
he made a different
yes.
move. Some people don't get what he did. He literally changed the game with what he did. And now everybody else is gonna be like, you know what? I want that shit too.
And the thing is, he wasn't the first one to do it, but he was the first black person
Well,
to
and
do it.
that's
You
what makes it an
see?
announcement, because again, media
Exactly.
focuses on that. All of a sudden, a person of
Exactly.
color does something. Oh, it matters. Yeah, I feel you. Others have done it, yes. But when it's all of a sudden a person of color does, oh, what an achievement. You know what? We're
When
still
it's
humans. I hate the fact that they do that, but whatever. Whatever
100%.
brings attention to it.
That is what the media does, but it is historic. What he did is historic in this time, right?
Yeah,
In this time, that
yeah.
was 2 years after the Writers Guild of America strike and the
You ain't playing, bro.
Screen Actors Guild strike and the corporations doubling down on their control of intellectual property. And so 25 years later, that will come back to his family. Even if he's dead, a descendant receives it. That's called generational wealth, right?
Yes.
Robert Kirkman's Invincible in The Walking Dead is generational wealth. James Tynion the Fourth's Something is Killing the Children is
Yeah.
generational wealth. What we're now seeing with Roya Yakupe and Ianu Child of Wonder.
Oh my God. That Lion Forge, man. They
Listen,
Cartoon Network. Yo.
listen,
Murdering it, bro.
generational wealth, yes. So that is my purpose, right? And that is part of the purpose that began with Milestone and continues today. So the company that I would create has to reflect that purpose. Then I can take my decades of experience working on Batman, which is arguably one of the most popular and profitable intellectual properties on planet Earth,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I can take the knowledge from working on that, working with creators on their own ideas, being in this business and being in publishing for decades and seeing the changes. And I can give that Batman level creative guidance to creators and clients and companies and people who are willing to bet on themselves, who will take the leap and spend the money and take their idea and turn it into something really formidable. Because
So let's.
listen,
I want.
understand the comic book industry right now. There, there's so many comic books. And the reason there's so many comic books is because the publishers don't want ongoing series anymore now. They
They
want
don't.
these
I
five
see
issue,
that.
6 issue stories, which
That's right.
means they need more of them to be produced. Well, where are they going to get produced from? Not just the people who are here now, but who's coming next. And it's not in the best interest of comics to make a bunch of sucky comics or mediocre comics. They got to be top level comics. And so we're talking about quality here. So that's part of what I'm promising. I'm promising you work with me and you trust me, your thing is going to be quality at every layer
So wait, so
of the
what we're
book.
saying, so if I'm understanding just a tad here in the sense of continuity of a comic book, are you trying to build ongoing issue stories with Illuminous and avoid that 5 issue miniseries sets every single time?
Well, for clients, what I'm trying to do is primarily editorial guidance
Okay.
to turn their ideas into comic books or graphic novels. Now, they
Okay.
can start off with a 5 issue series, but the story will have the capacity to go longer
Understood.
if
A set
if
of
the
series.
exactly, because you can make a 5 issue idea, but then you got nothing afterwards if the audience wants more. But if you make, say, a 50 issue idea with 10 5 issue arcs,
Ooh, yeah.
if you write a big plan. And the thing is, there's this saying, don't ask anyone to do something that you aren't doing yourself. Well, number one, I am already creating intellectual properties that I own that are being published. One of them is the Winterfields, which is a Harlem Renaissance father and son story with Crisscross, which the first issue has just been funded through Fair Square Graphics through their Noir is the New
Oh
Black
man, my beautiful
campaign.
Greece, yeah, baby. Salute.
Yes, yes. So the Winterfields is something that Crisscross and I introduced last year in Noir is the New
Really?
Black, and we're bringing the characters back.
Right.
So that's an original idea that we have in play. But also, I'm writing Bloodletter for Todd McFarlane. Now, Todd McFarlane owns Bloodletter 150%. That's
Okay.
his. But the first issue, the first series, is 5 issues. But understand, in Tim and I's minds, there's a whole 50 issue story for Tasha.
Oh, okay. So we have you. So oh
Listen,
man.
listen.
Oh,
If the audience shows Todd McFarlane that they want more and they will pay for more, then maybe we get a season 2 and a season 3. But what I'm
you
saying
hear this,
is,
folks? You're making
listen,
rain on this.
listen. But we didn't build it to be a 5 issue story. We
Gotcha.
gave you a 5 issue introductory arc, but we built it to be a 50 issue story, and that's what you have to do. Because it's kind of similar to, okay,
I dig this.
remember when the Matrix came out and it blew everyone's mind and
Absolutely.
no one knew what to do with it? But somehow Matrix 2 and 3 didn't rock the same way.
But the
And a
comic
bunch of
did.
people, well, those comics did. But you know what a bunch of people were saying? They were saying, did they know that it was going to be this? Like, did they have a plan for 2 or 3,
No,
or did it just blow up and it was like, oh crap, we gotta make up more? See, that's
that's
how
what I
stories get
figured.
weaker.
Yeah.
That's how stories get weaker when you don't already know the road ahead. But what I am going to show creators to do is know your full
Oh
road.
man. Oh man.
You see? You
And
see?
Joe, if these cats want to get involved, any creator wants to get involved, wants to pitch it, needs this guidance. I mean, could they just go to the website right there, illuminousideas.com,
Yeah,
and
they
contact?
can go. They can go there, and then there's a tab called Illuminous Creative Services. They see the trailer. There's a
Okay.
contact page. They reach out to me, and they can say, "Listen, I have this idea. I want to introduce it to the world as a comic book series or a
Right.
graphic novel. I would like to hire you to be my guide, and let's manifest this thing." Because listen, this is a business, and because of my experience, I have a certain value. So that has to be understood. But understand that, my thing is, and this is something that everyone knows, I love comics.
Yes, you do.
So when I'm working on your project isn't just a paycheck to me. Your project is my promise to empower you so that maybe you could be the next Robert Kirkman. You
Oh,
could make
grandpa.
you could create the
Yeah.
next Ianu Child of Wonder,
Come on,
because
baby.
if you take out of 1,000 people, any 1,000 people, 995 of them are complaining about how Marvel's not respecting Black Panther. But 5 of them might go, I will never own one scintilla of Black Panther.
Yeah.
But what if I could start creating something now? At
Yeah.
15 years from now, my kid could own it. 15 years from now, another generation can see it. And I have been a part of that because I was there for Milestone. I saw it happen in real time.
Yeah.
I was part of a company
Yeah.
that
Don't get me
changed the
jealous, man.
world.
You keep telling me I'm getting jealous. Even though I was a
Listen,
collector at the time, I wish I was in those rooms. I cannot imagine the energy at that
dude,
time. Because again, it was just building something new. It wasn't about just. It wasn't about the race, the color. Because again, in those '90s eras, we weren't worried about that. It was about really being a geek and bringing something new. Regardless, I don't think that we weren't so affected by race issues like we are now. So when that was coming out, it was just hot. And that's
yeah.
again why I say that I get upset when all this diversity stuff started. Like DC has Milestone, just produce that. You have OG characters. Don't transform nobody. Don't change stories. Use these OG characters. Make them popular. What's going on?
Listen. Part of the reason why Milestone never dies is because there's just something there that couldn't be replicated, right? Like
Honey.
like look at Static, right? DC has historically attempted to crack the Static code. They created Johnny Thunder, who appeared in Grant Morrison's Justice League. Didn't take. The Signal, nice kid. He's not the same,
Yeah,
right?
Kaka.
And when you look at Marvel, you got Miles Morales, but Miles Morales comes from Static, and everyone knows that.
And look at
Everyone who
that.
knows.
But look at what you're saying here. You don't even call him Spider-Man. You call him Miles Morales. You call him by his effing government name. This is just
Yes,
bullshit. This is why I first like when Disney introduced him. It was Kid Arachnid. I love that name when you brought him into the world. Great. And later on he can become Arachnid or something. Cool. You know what I mean? And take the kid off when he becomes a man. But this whole Miles Morales, Spider-Man, stop this. Either the Spider-Man who he's not, or give him his own effing name already.
well, what happens is, so Spider-Man is an intellectual property,
Yeah, I get it.
and when you have two characters with the same name, you can create brand confusion. So in the comic books, what's happening is, okay, so I'll tell you a quick one. So Bulletproof Comics, right here in Brooklyn, over there, Flatbush Avenue Junction.
Oh, I know that
I,
shop. I've been there
yep,
once. Only
I'm,
once so far.
I'm in there one day, mother and son. I think that the son is like maybe 14 years old. And he was like, "Hey, you got the latest Spider-Man comic?" And I said to him, "Who's Spider-Man?" He said, "Miles Morales." I said, "Ah, that's Spider-Man for you, right?"
Yeah,
So
get that.
Marvel, the publisher, relies on the audience to make the distinction between the two Spider-Mans. And the media company, Sony and Marvel Studios, use the Spider-Verse to do it
Yeah,
because you have different Spideys, but the main Spidey ain't Parker.
yeah.
The main Spidey of the Spider-Verse film
It
is
is
Miles
Miles.
Morales. So
Yeah,
they flipped it. They flipped it, right? But to your point, you always chance brand confusion. And also, yes, that dude's name is Miles Morales. I think most people call him, as you said, by his government name. They
yeah.
don't call him Spider-Man. They call him Miles Morales.
It's
He's
Miles. Yeah, it's
Afro-Latino.
Miles. Yeah, yeah. Stop doing that.
Exactly.
You're blasting his
Exactly.
family. You're gonna get them murdered.
Jesus. But
You know what I
but
mean?
again,
Thinking
yeah,
about that in
yeah,
a comic book, where it's like, what are you doing? Nah, man, that's Spidey, son. Like for me, like
yeah.
I'm doing that. Like give him Kid Arachnid, give him his own name, and does that. I'm fine. Let him use his own cool spider logo, a spider from PR or something, because he is half Puerto Rican. Which
He
is why
is.
I love Spider-Verse, because they finally got the Puerto Rican accent right. Unlike what they did with America Chavez, Puerto Rican, but with a Mexican accent, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Nope. You gotta get it right or don't do it at all.
Yeah,
And
Spider-Verse
if
did it
you
right.
don't have the knowledge to get it right, bring in the people who will get it right.
100. That's why I love
Bring
50.
in the people.
50 is from New York. 50 Cent knows the difference between all the Latin cultures, and I love it because when he does the show, Power, BMF, etc., he knows how to cast based on us. I'm like, oh, thank you. Someone that knows. So thank you, my brother. Now,
That's
I
it. Listen,
appreciate that.
it makes a difference.
It does. It does.
And
For us, it does. And I also want people to know there's many different types of us. You know what I mean? Just like
yeah,
we're African
we're
Americans.
not
You have your Africans, you got your Nigerians, you got your Southerns, you got your Northerns, you got your West Coast. You know, everybody's different. I've been on every coast now, and in the middle of the country, and the way I talk doesn't fit with everybody, and the way they talk don't fit with me. And it's just peace and love.
exactly.
And then we celebrate one another and laugh about these things. When I was in San Diego, Joe, the recent one, I got caught like a nod for the first time. I almost got into beef with a cholo on the streets for no reason. I had the full Cali experience coming from the East Coast because of my swagger and accent.
Wow, man. But listen, but that's real life. And
And I
that's
love it.
part of what we're supposed to communicate in the stories. And taking it back to Milestone, had you ever seen the breadth of Latino life expressed in comics the way Ivan Velez Jr. wrote it in Blood Syndicate?
Well, no, that's
Never.
why. This is why I appreciate and respect Milestone so much, because it wasn't just when I'm growing up, what I hated, and I grew up with kids, New York, late 80s, early 90s, you know what it was. A lot of
100%.
culture, and there's a black comics. What the fuck do you mean by that? I'm Puerto Rican. Guess what? I'm 3 cultures in one. I'm Caribbean, I'm European, and I'm African.
That's right.
So
That's right.
like, these books speak to me, and I have friends that were like me, but didn't quite think like me or understand where I was trying to come from. But like, like I know you guys like what you like, but this is really more us in a sense. And I think you would appreciate these. Again, it would take them years later to say, Al, you were right.
Bingo. Bingo. At the moment, they don't know. But the thing is, we have to step outside of our comfort zones, man.
Yes,
If we
do.
only stay out of our comfort zones, we're not experiencing the beauty and variety of life.
Man. You're not enjoying
Exactly.
art, life, breathing. Like, just look out the window sometimes. It's beautiful. Dark skies over here, but guess what? It's beautiful.
Yep. Go outside and take a walk in your neighborhood. Take a walk in another neighborhood. Whenever my wife and I travel, my wife has this big thing where she's like, take the mass transit. That's how you see who the people are.
I did that in San Diego for the first time. I took the trolley. I went to Old Town. Shout out to my man Nemesis for taking me there. I met my crusader that I never met in person, finally. So he took me to Old Town. We had a great meal, and I got to escape the convention scene and kind of get a feel for locality. Wow, what a different and beautiful vibe. And friends, let me tell you, I'm a single man now, so wow, beautiful women and women just flirting with me out of nowhere. I'm like, whoa, this is cool.
Well,
I'm digging this.
But that's it. You got to see part of the real San Diego. When my wife and I were there last year, we stayed at an Airbnb that was like walking distance to the border to Tijuana.
Oh,
right?
No way. Nice.
So when we went shopping for food, man, you're talking
real deal,
like
babe.
the real people, and you go to this place and you get like real like Mexican food, and you're like, this is what I'm talking about, And we did that before we went to the con, because that's just a whole other vibe, right?
I gotta know now though, how does that even inspire your artistry and your creativity? When you touch these cultures, you go to Tijuana, you come back, do you come up with a story in your head like, wait a minute, I was in Mexico eating tacos, and you know what, something may have happened, I got a story now?
Well, I will say that it definitely expands my perspective, and part of what my responsibility is as a writer is, if I'm going to portray that, then I got to draw from personal experience. How do I take personal experience and how do I pull it into the stories? As writers, we're sponges. You got to embrace just like being out there with people, eating different foods. The whole thing you talked about African American and how there's so many different versions of that. I'm Jamaican American, right?
Yeah, bro.
So
bro, let me tell you, man, I met a shorty too, Jamaican American. God bless her. Shout out to
that's oh my goodness. but that's it. So we draw from life in every way we can. When Tim and I co-created Bloodletter and we made her Haitian South American, we were drawing from things, and by doing that,
Love it.
we gave Tasha a different kind of flavor, and that
You
expands
put
her
some sazon
worldview.
in that, baby.
Listen, and and a number of people have said to me, are we going to get a toy? And I'm like, dude, listen, I'd love a toy,
That's
but I
such a
will say
vibe, baby,
this:
right now.
when you're creating for the Spawn universe, you better be thinking that way. You better
Yeah.
create these characters with a 360-degree mindset. And so
Ooh,
we did
please.
that. And then the artist Christian Rosado, he's from Spain. So you got this other like global perspective. And Tasha's got the tattoos and the trench coat and the symbol.
I know
And
she's sexy AF, bro. I mean, who did you model her after, bro?
we looked at a lot of different people. I could tell you some of the people we looked at: Grace Jones,
Yeah.
Janelle
Was it?
Monáe.
Oh wait, Janelle Monáe. God damn, she's beautiful. Grace Jones. She had this fierce sexiness to her.
Yes, Grace
Oof.
Jones is
I get
legend.
you.
She's legend.
Fierce.
There's this actress named Gugu Mbatha Raw from the Loki
Wait,
series.
I'm sorry, but with Grace Jones, it's making me think of the Eddie Murphy movie with her perfume. You know what it was called?
Oh yeah, Boomerang, dude,
Yeah, remember the name
Boomerang.
of the perfume?
Yes, yes.
Oh
Come
my
on, and
gosh,
then
salute to the legend, son. That was so
you
funny.
listen. And then, of course, her iconic role. What was it in A View to a Kill, the James Bond film?
Yeah, man, and even
So,
in Conan, right? She was like a warrior
one
princess
hundred
right
percent,
there, yo. I love her, yo. That's what I'm saying. She's
one
a
hundred
legend. I don't give a
percent.
fuck, bro. I love
So
that woman.
that's who we were looking at in terms of just like visual inspiration. We gave all this to Christian, and he came up with this amazing design, and he got her on the first shot. First design, we were like, "That's Tasha, let's go."
Ouch.
And so it's great when the artist gets in your head and then they take it to the next level. So that's the thing. It's like you want to add flavor, you want to add something that the universe can use, taking it back to the front with Illuminous. Again, experience developing characters with a 360-degree
Love it, man.
multimedia licensing mentality. So I can instruct people on how to do that with their ideas.
So how
So
many
I'm kind
clients you think you're taking up, through Luminous? How many clients can you handle at once? Let's talk
wow.
there, man. Because I want
That's
people to
great.
come and help you, but I also don't want you to get uber stressed. So, like,
No,
what is
that's
going
an
to be your client list looking like, for real?
excellent question. So first off, as a business, explosive growth may sound sexy, but it's actually not, because explosive
It's
growth
not. It's
leads to
not. It's
implosive
stressful. Why do
disaster.
you think I got
Which,
this from?
well, listen, I'm
Whiter than
55,
yours,
so
bro. Look at this. I'm
I,
50.
I,
My shit is whiter than yours, bro.
I know, I know. I got a little Reed Richards going on here, but honestly, it's slow growth. And then one thing that we'll do is, as a company, we will bring on assistant editors, right? And that way, the assistant editors can help with the increasing growth of clientele. And I will be there from the 10,000-foot view as editorial oversight,
Oh, nice.
right?
I
Because
mean,
part
what's
of
like
the
that is the Illidge, baby.
listen, because part of the problem with the industry is you got too many people out there with editorial knowledge and not enough corporate jobs for them. But when Illuminous grows to the point where it can hire them as subcontractors and have them work on cool projects, hey, then the idea of free enterprise and entrepreneurship
Yeah,
expands, and
yeah.
then they get the bug for it, and then maybe each one of them creates their own Illuminous in 5 years. And
Yeah, baby.
then we're talking about something, right? We're talking
You're
about a
talking Wu-Tang
paradigm
Clan
change.
method of growth.
Yes.
I
Yes. When you
love
talk
this.
entrepreneurship, you got to talk about the RZA, and taking it back to the front again. Milestone and the Wu-Tang Clan both
Yes.
launched in
90.
1993.
Yo, let me tell you,
Both launched.
when that album dropped, it just dropped before school ended. And I was taking my tape with my Walkman and my loud ass headphones to school. and only one of my dudes was in musicality like I was, and like, yo, that's
Yeah.
really. I'm trying to put people on, and what's funny is just like most things, I don't know about that, but of course the radio plays it enough times, all of a sudden they fans. I
Yeah.
hate that. Like, listen, discovery is beautiful, and push it, and don't be shy about it, and you sell everything. Like even with Walking Dead, I introduced it to my friends when it first came out, and you know why they didn't like it? It was black and white. Are you fools? This is a great ass story.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
and I
It's
hate that.
like
So people take a risk, man. It's okay.
try something different, try something new, step outside of your comfort zone. But at the
Absolutely,
core
man.
of it all, you know what we all like? We all like good stories with characters, with journeys that we care about.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what walk of life you're from. And so that's the thing. I do believe that story is one of the great unifiers of our time, and that it is one of the best gifts that humanity gave to itself. So I'm a servant of story. And that's what I got from McDuffie. McDuffie made me a servant of story.
Because he was a storyteller. I mean, have you seen his Justice League episodes that he?
100%, dude.
I
Come
mean,
on.
listen, not for nothing. Those were some of the best episodes I think
I
within
mean,
the whole
but
series.
we
Not for
all know
nothing.
this.
That
We all know this.
Joy McDuffie, God bless. Man,
Dude,
when
just
he
so we're
passed, it
clear,
was the most shocking thing I've ever, like for me, like to think that he even passed before the great Stan Lee himself.
yes, he did.
Like
Yes, he did.
wow, like that's
At way too
crazy.
young an
Like
age.
so
Way too
young.
young an age.
God bless.
49 years
Like,
old.
so guys,
And
you guys, take care of yourselves, check yourselves, because we don't want this to happen to y'all. Be legendary and exist a lot longer. Because William Duffy will never be forgotten, but he had so many more years in front of him.
yeah, I mean, listen, we've lost so many great people in the last like 2 years of comics. We lost Neil Adams. We just lost Butch Geist. We lost John
Bro,
Cassaday.
bro,
Like, we're just losing people. And to the point that you made,
bro.
health is of highest importance. And I
Yeah.
say that as someone who I've got an appointment for a colonoscopy pre-examination in a few weeks, because we got to take care of ourselves. When I see friends that I know at conventions, one of the questions I usually ask is, "Hey, man, how you doing?" And if you look tired, I'm concerned,
Yeah, bro.
right?
I
So,
see cats
yeah,
younger than me, in canes taking medication. I'm 50, and thank God, no pills, no nothing. I keep myself healthy, eat the right foods. I have two bad habits, but I keep it in moderation, and
okay, good.
and just for enjoyment, and that's all. You know what I mean? Like when I talk to
Yeah,
people like you. Now I want to have a funk question with you, bro. I want to dig into your
sure,
brain here.
sure.
I'm gonna call this the cookout crossover.
Okay,
All right.
excellent.
So if Shadow Cabinet, Batman, and Bloodletter's crew had a cookout, who's grilling and who's the first one swinging?
Oh my goodness. You're funny. You're funny. So, I mean, listen, like, I feel like Rocket from Milestone, she definitely knows how to cook. Her mom, she grew up cooking with her
So she
mom.
grilling. She grilling.
Yeah. Tasha has traveled all over the world, and she's Haitian and South American. So, she knows how to get down.
Right.
It's funny, from the Batman crew, honestly don't know if any of like Bruce's clan knows how to cook.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
they do. I don't even
I,
know I don't think they know what seasoning is.
Honestly, listen, I've never seen a scene in a comic where like Dick Grayson or Tim Drake or any of them were in the kitchen with Alfred, and Alfred was showing them how to make anything. So, to
I mean,
my knowledge,
Alfred is
none
English.
of
They
the
ain't no sazon.
exactly, I don't think none of the back crew knows how to cook. I think Barbara Gordon, I think Batgirl, well, I think she's now Oracle again. I think she knows how to cook because she came up really blue collar, because she's one of the
True.
Gordon family. That's blue
True.
collar. So I bet she could get by. But when you talk about getting
And maybe
down on
and
the
maybe
grill,
even and maybe even Commissioner Gordon might be able to get down. I think
Commissioner Gordon might be good with some
because he's been a
stuff.
single man for a minute.
Exactly. And he's an old man living in Gotham. So,
Yeah.
so certain people they
I
they
love this.
they know they know the basic skills. So yeah. Yeah, and I'm a big cook, so my wife and I cook a lot. So you gotta be able to provide yourself with
Wait a
quality
minute. So when
inside.
are we getting the Illuminous cookout?
Oh man, listen, it's gonna be secret. It's gonna be secret invitation. I'm not gonna announce that one on the interview. It's
Yeah, I
like,
better be invited, baby. Shit, I want to try some of that. Now, yo, talking about that legacy, right?
yes,
Now,
yes.
uh, what do you want your name to mean in comic book history?
Wow, that's a big
'Cause, I
one.
mean,
So
just
yeah,
want to say before you even answer that, like coming
yeah,
from a fan perspective, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for your work, your duty, your story sharing, and building. Like, man, like, thank you for making me happy, making me smile, making me think, making me sad. Making me go through emotions as a human being because your work is powerful. So, thank you. So, with that, go.
You're welcome. You're welcome, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. I would just want to be known as someone who left comics better than I found it, and that people could say, "Hey, you know what? He gave me a boost. He gave me a boost one day, and that boost helped me get further." Right? Like, I want to be of service. And listen, I'm a human being. I didn't always get it right. I made my share of mistakes. And I've endeavored to just be better and, and give the apologies across the board. No one is perfect, but I love comics and it is my mission to help people.
Gotcha.
So that's what I would want it to be. And, Illuminous is to exist beyond me, the same way that Milestone existed beyond Dwayne.
Yeah, baby.
Illuminous is to exist beyond me. One of my mentors, because I have a variety of mentors, thank God for them. He said to me, "Your mission has to be greater than your name
Yes.
because
Thank you.
because
Preach.
because
People don't understand that.
they can destroy you, but the mission has to be indestructible."
Yes.
Right? So
Crusade,
that's
baby.
so that's the thing. The company is there to be indestructible. Yes.
I love it. So, with that said, do you feel maybe you're already living in that legacy that you're building, especially with
Yeah.
the culmination of
Yes.
illuminations?
Yes. Well, listen, I mean, it's interesting because I have actually been doing this for the last few years, but recent events, just like in the world and in comics, made me, as a business person, say, you need to bring this out of the shadows and into the light, and you need to give it a focal point. You have this company, give it the
Yeah, man.
focal point. So I am living in the legacy, and I do have clients. I'm helping people, and it's very interesting. You know what a variety of people said to me with the announcement when I went to San Diego, and a lot of people had good things to say. The variety of people have said, "How can I help you?"
Yeah.
That's when I know I'm onto something. And this is the question that should be at the core of all of us. How can I help? That's
Yeah.
something that someone I knew years ago asked me. And I realized that that is one of the core questions of humanity. How can I?
That corazón, baby. De verdad. Right through, baby, right there. Yo, Puerto Rock talk
That's
for
it.
real. Coming over with that accent. Right through, man. Right. That
That's
is
it.
that is it. It is. Listen, there's nothing better in the world and for your soul, honest to God, than to help someone genuinely. Like, listen, when I went to SDCC, I got toys from Hasbro.
Yeah.
And what I did, I gave them away to the hotel workers of the hotel I was staying because they weren't able to go. I said, "Yo, do you have kids?" That I sure here. This is your kid. Tell them this is from SDCC. The smile on their faces, huh?
Yeah.
Doing
Yeah.
things like that. That for me to be able to have the ability just to do that, it brings
Gestures.
extreme joy to me, bro. Like
Yeah. Gestures
there's
of
nothing more
kindness.
I want to do in the whole world. And then talking to people like you and expounding your knowledge to future creators, and then you teaching me. You're like, I'm listening to you. Like, okay, these are the things I'm gonna have to do before I pass, I'm definitely gonna try to do a cool comic book or something, a story. I'm making music now because I really love music, but I'm gonna start doing hopefully some comics. I have ideas and with
Nice.
your inspiration, maybe Illuminous will be my
Listen,
my
you know where to find me. I'm not hiding. You know where to find me.
I know where to find you. That's right. Because folks, look how my man is the Segway King. All right. So you can follow him on Instagram at Illmaster1. That's his rap name right there. If you want to battle rap,
Yeah.
Illmaster1, baby.
That's it.
I love
That's
it on Instagram. On X, you go to Joseph P. Illidge. All right. On the website, you got two of them. You got josephillidge.com. But folks, for real, check out this new drawing he's doing right now at Illuminous. IlluminouSideas.com. The links are below. They're on screen. They're on the website, and on the platforms. You got to check this out. Show love. You guys got ideas. Do not be afraid to share. You know what I mean? The worst anyone could say is no. And always remember this. It's only no for now. So when persist, insist. And you got this. You feel me? Whereby, baby. So
that's it.
So before we go, two things I need to know.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
First, if you were in the shadow cabinet, what would your power be?
Oh boy, that's a good one. It's very interesting. I really like invisibility.
Okay.
Right. I like. It's funny. Sometimes it's good to just be behind the scenes. Sometimes it's good to just, because the things that you would learn just being invisible, right? Because sometimes when people know you're there, they won't say certain things. I just like to be invisible, right? So I think that would be my power. I think it would be
an invisible sponge absorbing all that knowledge.
That's it.
I feel you. I love that. And of course, secondly, brother, I mean, we're still hot in con season. Are you going to be making any appearances where we could shake your hand, get some signed books, hear you speak at a panel? What's popping?
You're very kind. So I will be at New York Comic Con.
And I think I'm going to press pass.
Yeah.
So you got to let me know where you're at.
I will. I should be on a few panels there. And it is quite likely that I will be attending Baltimore Comic Con this year.
Oh, cool.
And it's been quite a number of years, so I'm looking forward to going back. And then next year, I am really going to make it my business to go to more cons. I feel like with Illuminous, it's more important than ever to talk to the creators, the executives, the power players in this industry, right? And to be part of the network that's going to continue to move things forward.
Excellent. As you said, Joe, get it done. I'll be seeing you at these cons, shaking your hand, giving you a pound and hanging out. I don't know what your vices are. Whatever your vices, whether it's water or a drink, I got you, my brother. Don't you worry. All right? Now we're gonna chill for sure because I know I saw you last year, but I hope to see you again this year at New York Comic Con.
Looking forward to that, man.
Have an on-screen moment. I put you on camera too. Yeah, live with my brother. You know what I mean? But listen, I'm a big supporter, so thank you again for wanting to come on to the show and chat with me and for the Crusaders. Hopefully you guys got some awesome tidbits here and information from this legend right here, this big boss. So I'm gonna show this once again. Follow my man Joe on Instagram at the Illmaster1. Yeah. And then of course on X at Joseph P. Illidge. The website josephpillidge.com. But very important, IlluminouSideas.com. That new venture. Check that out. And if you guys are bold enough and brave enough, baby, go ahead and submit. Ask those questions. Don't be scared. My man is here to serve the community right now. You heard him. He's here to help. And hopefully, find the next legend in the game. You never know what's going to pop off. So let's make it happen, baby. And with that is Almega. Is JPI right there. Hasta la próxima. ¡Wepa!
Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.com and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.